Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I will be painting in my sketchbook. I did do a couple of videos before on sketchbook painting, and this is my third painting in this sketchbook. And I decided to paint some coconut here, some coconut like that. And I also made a sketch, and I'm not sure if you can see this one. So that is the sketch. And again, as always, I will load it on my website, so you can download it for yourself. Just find the link down in the description box, and of course you can just join me. And in this painting session, I think it will be again fun. I'm just repeating that all the time. Everything is fun. Every painting is fun to me. So well, I think it will be fun, and again I will try to make it as easier as possible. So the sketch is on my website. Also, all the materials I will be using will be listed down in the description box, so go ahead and check it out. And also, if you're looking to buy some art supplies, you will find their links for those supplies that I'm using. So, well, if you want to buy some of them and you use my link for purchasing them, well, I guess I will get some small commission, and of course be very grateful to you, because you know that is how I finance myself. So we will start off with pre-wetting the paper as always. And this time I will just try not to go into the middle part, because you know the middle part will be a little bit lighter, because you know coconut is white, I guess, inside. So I will just go around it, try to wet it just around it and not go in that white middle part. And I already see I did go here, so I will just use my tissue and just wipe it slightly like that. And now I will use this brush. This is number 10, round number 10, and I will use some sepia put here, and also some Mars brown. I have to just spray a little bit my paints for them to react easily with water. And this is Mars brown, and I'm mixing it slightly into just a little bit of sepia, and then just going around in those parts that are going to be, well, I suppose that are going to be brown in our coconut. And well, I will go just slightly outside the edges, and I will now smudge this, because you know that is the point. I want it to be a little bit smudged around. And you see my paper already dried. If you're watching my videos lately, you've probably noticed I'm just whining all the time how it's too hot in my studio, and my paper just dries so fast. I'm just having so much issues with that lately. It just dries so fast, so I will have to just use that larger round brush now to smudge that just a little bit like that. Yeah, you can see that. So it just goes a little bit outside the borders. I do like that. I like when it's a little bit outside the borders, when it's not just only in the borders. And I will now use again, this time a little bit smaller round brush, even smaller, and I will just do some couple of sprinkles. And I don't want sprinkles on this side, so I will just cover that side like that, and do a couple more here and there. And I will just, those that are inside on a white part, I will just smudge those, and then just pick up with my tissue paper. So that is how you can do that. This is cellulose watercolor paper. So you know, for this painting, for this sketchbook, I'm not using I'm not using cotton watercolor paper, but this cellulose, and this one is also very, very thin. It's, I think, like 170 GSM. I'm not sure how much would that be. That would be like maybe 70, 104, 75, like 75 pounds, I think. So it's quite thin. I'm not sure. I really wouldn't recommend that paper for watercolors, you know. Okay, I will try this now. And this tissue paper of mine is just moving all the time, so I will just also use that clips and just clip it so it doesn't move anymore, because I do plan, you know, to paint on this side also, and on the other sides, and on the other side of this paper, but I'm just planning to turn it around, you know, before painting. When I finished it until the end on this side, I will move on to this one, and well, so I don't want it to get dirty. Okay, we will start now with painting the insides of our coconut. And for the insides, I will be using the mix of ultramarine, and you probably already know, if you're watching my videos, that I do love that mix of ultramarine and sepia for the grayish color, somewhat grayish color. And well, I think that it really looks beautiful, and I will add just a little bit of that Mars brown, because I do want it to go a little bit on yellowish side, not to be so blue. So I've added a little bit of that also Mars brown, and now I will just go and pre-wet the insides. So just go ahead and use any brush you like for this, and just pre-wet that inside part of our coconut like that. And this doesn't really matter if you go outside the borders, because this part will be darker, so it won't show. And I will now pick up a little bit of that paint, and just, well, here we have a little bit darker part, and you know, this side is also a little bit darker, like that. And we have some, you know, here and there. This one is in shadow, I think, so I did paint those lines that, you know, will help guide you, you know, where to make it a little bit darker, where to make it a little bit lighter. And I'm just tapping in, you know, the color, and not trying to make it again same even wash, but I'm just tapping in the color. And this part, you know, these lines also are darker. There are some shadows, I guess, like that. Here a little bit more, like that. And this part is also just slightly even more dark. And we will come back and add a little bit more of those shadows. And now I will just pick up a little bit of that Mars brown and just again add it here and there on those lines. And I will try to remember to put the link for this reference photo down in the description box, so you can also maybe download it for yourself, or just open it on internet and maybe follow this easier. Even though I will put also in top corner the finished painting of mine, but you know, maybe it will be easier for you to follow if you're looking at the same reference photo as I am. So I will try to remember. Please, if I forget, just remind me. If you don't see the reference photo, just remind me in the description to add it. Okay, now we can go to our second one. We will come back to this one, you know, later on, but just for now this is okay. And again, pre-wetting this other one, and just again taking that mix and just tapping in where the darkest is. I don't have any more. I'll just mix it a little bit of, again, a little bit of ultramarine, a little bit of sepia, and a little bit of Mars brown, and add, you know, where this is in shadow, I guess, so this part will be the darkest. And again, some lines here. And this already started to dry, so I'm just, you know, fighting the heat in my studio all the time, and just smudge it. If you're not having the same problem as I am, you don't need to smudge it, it will bleed nicely, like that. Just looking where the darker parts are also here. And this one is already lost, so I'm adding just a little bit more of that shadow, like that. And just here, again, smudge it a little bit. I don't want those harsh, very harsh lines, you know, so I'm just smudging slightly. Like that. And this is not completely dry, so I will dry this. There you go. Now that we're done with this first layer, I will be using smaller round brush, and you know, this time I won't be pre-wetting the paper. I will just add it. I will just paint on a dry paper, because this time we don't want the pleats, we want a little bit more details, so I won't be painting on wet paper. So I'm just mixing in those colors, adding until I'm satisfied with my color. This one is now quite saturated, so I'll just move a little bit and take just a light wash of that color, like that. And I will just paint it. I'm looking where the darker parts on my reference photo are, so I'm just adding here a little bit darker. And again, this won't be very, I'm not gonna try to paint it to be very realistic, so we won't bother ourselves with some crazy realism, you know, just to make the impression that of the coconut, you know, just for the people who are watching it too, they can see that it's a coconut, and it doesn't have to be perfectly realistic. So here, just looking where the shadows are, we have here some, and here, like that. And we will leave that to dry and go on the other side. This here is, well, this is the darker shadow. I'm just painting in that shadow. And then here we have this one line that is a little bit darker. And then here, those also darker lines going from the middle part of our coconut. And some lines are a little bit more grayish, some are a little bit more brownish, so keep that in mind. will add a little bit of Mars brown here, like that. And now this is mostly dry, and I will add a little bit more of that gray here. This looks to me as though it's in shadow, so I'm adding it quite amount of pigment here. And you know, you just have to build your layers here, you know, slightly. Just add where you think it needs a little bit more of darkness, and don't add where you think it's lighter, like that. And here is that, and here is actually the entire part inside is a little bit darker. Here is a little bit darker. And this one. And you know, this one is maybe a little bit more difficult, but I know you can do it. I know you can do it. I'm completely sure of that. So I advise you just to grab it. If it doesn't work perfectly, it doesn't matter. You know, just take your brush and paint. And then here on those parts that are white, I'm just taking just a little bit of paint, quite diluted with water, and adding it also here and there. And then a little bit more of that Mars brown to that inside part. Here it's a little bit lighter, like that. And I'm gonna add it here and there also on the outside part, like that. And now we can move to our second, and here we have this inside part a little bit, you know, that yellowish, I mean brownish maybe color, and we have some also here. And then we're gonna go and do this part that it's a little bit again darker and a shadow here on this side, like that. And near the edge to make that distinction, you know, between the inside part and outside part. And just like that. And you know, as watercolors dry, they get lighter, so don't be afraid to add as many layers as you think necessary until you're satisfied with your colors. Like that. See, I'm just building layers, layer on layer on layer. And that is how we will slowly build our painting and make it look like a coconut. Now maybe it won't turn out to look like a coconut, who knows. Maybe this one will turn out to be a complete flop. But that is also fine, you know. Can't every painting we do be a masterpiece, you know. I'm not even trying to make every painting I paint a masterpiece. That would be, I don't know, that would be just very scary. Not to make mistakes, you know, make it everything work perfectly. I think it's all normal for us to make mistakes. Like that. And now I will just use again that Mars brown and add it on this one. Like that. I will dry this slightly. Now this is dry, and then I'm gonna use almost dry brush, and I will just slightly dry it here, and then just go on the border, top border, and just do it like this. And you know, this is so smooth that it just almost makes it impossible to do dry brushing. Maybe your paper isn't so smooth, so it will be a little bit easier on you to do some dry brushing. And like that, and then a little bit of that bluish, again just add here and there, not everywhere. I won't add this one everywhere, more on this side where the darker is side, a little bit here, like that. And a little bit darker ones here. This side. Like that. And this is also a little bit, I'm just adding some shadows where I think they are missing. And I will use now smaller brush, small detail brush. Take a little bit of that mix of Sepia and Ultramarine and a little bit of Mars brown in it, and just tap it in, and then add where those lines, like that. See, with a smaller brush you can just make them a little bit thinner, like that, and then just go slightly over the edge, you know, with a light wash of the color. Just go lightly over the edge with that detail brush. And maybe skip some parts of the line, like that. And also the same thing on this one. Again, just maybe skip some parts of the line. We just have to also let our brain do its thing and fill in the gaps, like that, to make the distinction, like that. And again, a little bit more of that, and just add it also on those lines, and maybe just going from this side, from the inside, you know, just connect that line inside with that you're making here. You know, you don't have to do maybe to all of them. Some can be on the upper side, but some connect, you know, it will be, just gives it the impression that it is connected, you know, to that part. Like that. Some couple of lines more. Here, some a little bit lighter, some a little bit darker. Some a little bit thinner, some a little bit thicker. Like that. And again, also on this side, this one is quite dark. Like that. And then we have also one pretty dark here. And the other one pretty dark here. And also some thicker part here. Like that. And also again, more lines going from this side a little bit darker, like that. And this part also I'm using, this is quite light wash. Just here some lines, and I'm just looking at my reference photo, you know, to know where to place those lines. And again, some are a little bit darker, some a little bit lighter, like that. And I will make a couple connecting to the middle part as we did here, you know, just to make it look like it's connected again to that part. So now I just wanna pick up a little bit more of that Mars brown mixed in with my blues and add a little bit of that here to connect, you know, this part. This entire part is just slightly in a shadow, so I want to connect them and just make it look as though they're a shadow. And here also some of that Venetian red, like that. And here on this lower part, this is the inside of the skin of the coconut, so it has this a little bit reddish inside, like that. And now I will just use the Mars brown, like that, and just paint the outside part. We will be adding a little bit of sepia also here on these borders. Again, a little bit more. Like that. And I will just pick up a little bit more, quite saturated this time, and just tap in here and there, because you know the skin, it's not equal, it's not one same wash, but it's just has a bit darker and a bit lighter parts. So I'm just adding those, like those are some sticking from it, you know, parts like that. And going a little bit under to make the impression those how you call them, little can't really can't really remember how that is called. Okay, that's it for this one. Now we'll do this on the other one, but this one we don't actually see that, this outside part, just here on this side. So here, let's see it slightly, and I will again add that only a little bit of Mars brown, darker, and just again tap it in. But this part will be pretty dark because we will add sepia to it. It's in shadow, so it's quite darker, but you know, we do want again some variation in that skin, so I will add also that Mars brown later on. As I said, we will add also sepia. There you go. And now I will use that smaller brush, just looking whether I would use this one or this one, or maybe one in between. I'm just searching this one. I will use, this is number 2, and I will use sepia now, just sepia, and just take quite amount of it, pretty dark. And I'm gonna go, so start here, press it a little bit, and I'm also wiggling my brush because I do want it to, you know, to be a little bit uneven. I don't want a straight line like that. And we have behind that red part we painted, and again here going behind that part, and I need more paint like that, press it, just picking my brush up and pressing down. Some parts are a little bit thicker, some parts are a little bit thinner, and also we will do that on the other side here. But this one I will maybe paint slightly lighter. And again going on this side, picking up, pressing down, again somewhere a little bit lighter, somewhere a little bit harder. There you go, and a little bit more. Just to add also the variation in that. Add again somewhere more pigment, somewhere less pigment, like that. And like that. Here is maybe too even for me, so I will add. And I will use now again only Mars brown, quite amount of it, and just add in some parts around that sepia, you know, and inside like this, and around that red, and again on this side, inside here, And now I will use again Sepia and just do maybe some couple here, you know, like darker, because that is, as I said, in shadow, so it is a little bit darker. And we have some I'm not sure how it's called, you know, sticking out from there. Hairs, they're not hairs. Some almost like ropes. And going upwards also on that. Here, sticking couple, and also on the other side here, you know, somewhere they're just a little bit longer, somewhere a little bit less long. So there I did add a couple of lines. You can probably see them on your sketch like that, so you can go over them or just see where I've added. And they're not completely straight, they're also wiggly here and there, so you can just wiggle your brush, and just here also going upwards. And downwards. And I will switch to the smaller brush. Just make it easier for me, you know, to draw those lines. And like that. It's quite an amount of them. Those ropes. Like that. This one has a little bit larger. And like that. Sticking on all sides, and a little bit of sepia. You know, and again this one also has some couple sticking on every single side like that, and a little bit of like this. And I think those lines, that hair or whatever that is, ropes, just gives the, I think it gives more believable look to our coconut, and makes it look like a coconut. So a little bit of Mars brown and a little bit of that Venetian red. I will add here like that. And also some here. Just tap it in like that. I think that Venetian red just gives a different dimension to it. Like that. And I'm just looking, I need a little bit more details in here. So I will use again that Mars brown, just a little bit, mix in with just a little bit of that sepia and ultramarine, and just add a couple of lines, the darkest parts here, to give it a little bit of definition and to make it you know, distinguish what that is actually inside, that there are some shadows inside. And here, this one on top, that. And here we have also a couple of lines. And now I'll use that smaller round brush again and just add in some of the parts here a little bit darker, here and also here. Just take a little squared brush, or you can take a liner brush or smaller detail brush, and I will do a couple of more this longer lines here and there. This just, I can do quite thin lines with them, just like small little hairs. Again, sticking here and there, going over our, like that, and some here. And I am adding also some here, you know, like that, just sticking here, making it uneven, this part also, like that. And I will also do a couple of here, you know, to make my line not so perfectly straight. That, just adding. I think this is fine. I think this is fine. As I said, I'm not playing it on realistic look, so I think this will be good. I will just take, of course, some white gouache and add a couple of straight from the tube. Just add a couple of, you know, those lighter parts where the, I guess where the highlights are, and also here. This is just straight from the tube. Gouache, like that. And that's it. And I've again made myself dirty. And just a couple of lines here. Those will dry. Going on my lines I've made earlier, and this one is a little bit light now, so I'm just darkening it a little bit, and this part also with Venetian Red, like that. And there you go. I will just take my smaller round brush, some Mars Brown, cover those this time. I don't want a lot of my splashes, to go onto them, although I do want a couple, so I will splatter a couple like that. And just one more thing, a larger brush, and this bluish color, and I will just add, since there is just sun falling like that, just some shadows like that. Spread. There you go. Dry this. This is now dry, and I found this to be so perfectly even, and I don't want that, so I'm adding a little bit more of that paint and just gonna do like this, some darker parts to the shadow. There you go. There you go, there you go, there you go. Now we're done. I'm gonna take this, and well, I hope you guys like this and maybe try it. Don't forget, you have a sketch you can download, and if you like this video, please hit the like, share it, comment, and well, I always like to see your comments, so if you're up for it, well, just give me some feedback. And well, if you haven't still, please subscribe to my channel, and without further ado, I hope I'll see you next time. Bye.